Hey, by the way, don't miss your opportunity to partner with FRC in encouraging Christians to pray, vote, and stand for truth. We're coming up on the end of our fiscal year, and we've got folks standing by. If you'd like to partner with us, they'll take your call, 800-225-4008. That's 800-225-4008, or visit tonyperkins.com. Right, with the support of more than 40 diverse partners and different organizations, including the Family Research Council, the IRF Summit 2022 has gathered about 1,000 international religious freedom advocates and activists from around the world this week. The second annual summit has been convened by former U.S. Ambassador at Large for International Religious Freedom, Sam Brownback, and Dr. Katrina Lantos Sweat, president of the Lantos Foundation for Human Rights and Justice. Well, here with me to talk about the summit is Ambassador Brownback. Sam, welcome back to the program. Thanks. Great. Well, you helped the former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo start the first summit as you were there at the State Department. This was something that happened in the Trump administration. It got traction in those first couple of years, and you've taken that and you've continued to run it.
Well, I have, because it's so needed. And even if the government won't do it, we just let's move it to the outside and let's have civil society do it. And what we found is that as we have done that, you get all these civil society groups. You said over 40. We actually have about 80 different groups from all over the world and every different religion, because we all face the same problem. We're getting persecuted. Yeah. For our faith, for simply peacefully practicing our faith. And we've got to stand up, we've got to stand together, we've got to fight.
Now, this morning you had the president of Guatemala.
We did. And boy, are they feeling the pressure in Guatemala. Here's a man that's a very pro-life president.
In fact, just recently declared Guatemala the pro-life country of Central America, Latin America.
And then he gets all this pillage from the left, from the international left.
Even from our own government here in the United States.
He does. I met with him this morning, and he was telling me about the things that the U.S. government are accusing him of. And I'm going, why are we even messing around with that stuff? Why don't, if we want to work with Guatemala, let's work with them on things that we agree upon and that are needed. Childhood development, child education, good nutrition, trade, economy, security. Let's push back against China. Why are we pushing these extreme left-wing agendas?
Especially, Ambassador, and you know this from working in this space, that when a country embraces religious freedom as a basic fundamental human right, other rights fall into place, as well as national security, economic development, social stability. I mean, it is really a linchpin for all of the other outcomes we work for.
And the left really doesn't want to admit that. You know, this is a cornerstone human right. It's also the highest area, the most abused human right in the world is religious freedom. It's 80% of the world lives in a place where you've got some sort of religious persecution. So you've got the most fundamental human right that is the most abused human right. And we need to more effectively stand up for it.
So, Ambassador Brownback, what is your hope? What is your hope for the summit?
A grassroots movement that really catches on fire, and that all the various religious communities around the world start standing up and fighting for their fundamental right, their fundamental God-given right to be able to peacefully practice their own faith. And if all the religious communities around the world really engage on this, the governments can't really effectively push back. The religions can push the governments to do the right thing that they ought to do anyway.
After just one year, I mean, this is your second annual that you've done. Even after the first one, it had gotten traction with local groups meeting in various countries. And so this is catching on.
We've got about, I think, 40 religious freedom roundtables in various countries. The Guatemalans hosted at the presidential palace a religious freedom roundtable there of all the various faith communities. So you're seeing more and more groups say that. It's one, but unfortunately, then you go to Nigeria and you had 2 priests killed this last week. You had 2 weeks ago, you had 41 people in a church gunned down in Nigeria, and you got China that's really beta testing the future of oppression with these high-tech systems mixed in with a concentration camp. I mean, you've got the high-tech and the bad.
Anything different this year? I mean, what have been the developments? What are we seeing on the horizon?
Actually, we're seeing more media interest. It's been very helpful that the media is starting to click in that there is a lot of persecution. We're starting to get more traction in the broader foreign policy community because almost every genocide in the last 50 years has been of a religious minority. And we're pointing that out, and they're starting to catch on. Yeah, the Rohingya were the most recent one out of Burma. Well, this is a dominantly Muslim minority that's pushed out by a dominantly Buddhist majority. This is what happened. And then the Holocaust itself was Jews killed by the Germans.
Speaking of that, anti-Semitism has been on the rise globally and even here in the United States. Is that a topic covered here?
We cover it, but it's interesting. We've got the chief rabbi of Europe who's going to speak here, but he doesn't want to speak about anti-Semitism. He wants to speak about how hard it is to practice Judaism today in modern Europe, with the laws against kosher food processing, with the laws against circumcision being proposed, with you can't wear your yarmulke anymore. He wants to talk about how hard it is to be a Jew.
That's interesting because that's actually going to be part of our focus. That we're doing a luncheon here tomorrow focused on the rise of authoritarianism in Western governments. And what we're seeing here in the United States, Canada, we're going to have the member of parliament from Finland, Pave Rasanen, is going to be here. And we're seeing these Western governments that are cracking down on religious practice. And really the question is, how can we promote abroad what we won't protect here at home?
It's really hard to do. I mean, that's why we've stood up this National Committee for Religious Freedom, is to fight for religious freedom here at home. And it's unfortunately, it's coming. The politician you're talking about, Finnish politician, 27 years in the parliament, medical doctor.
Right.
She posts Bible verses and is criminally prosecuted for posting a Bible verse as hate speech.
Right.
And you're going, this is insane, guys. We've got to fight against it. Although we had a good win this week with Coach Kennedy.
I was going to say, you got to be encouraged, having been in the Senate, having been a governor, you got to be encouraged by the recent wins we've had at the Supreme Court, not only on Coach Kennedy, which was a major victory on Monday for prayer, giving, giving balance to the establishment versus the free exercise clause. But then we had religious schools last week in Maine, and then of course Roe versus
Wade. I mean, this has been a fantastic 10 days for the Supreme Court of the United States. I just so impressed. I asked and called for a long time for Roe v. Wade to be overturned, but I honestly doubted if we could ever get here. And then Friday was one of the most significant historical days of my lifetime, that this carnage of abortion is no longer a constitutional right, which it never was. It was also a great day for the rule of law.
Yes.
Because Roe v. Wade declaring this constitutional right is not in the Constitution. Right. So this was a great day for the rule of law. It's a great day for humanity.
And a reminder that if we do not grow weary in well-doing, there is a day in which we will be.
And God moved it. I mean, this was an amazing thing to me that happened. Now the work really begins. I think we need to start pushing things like calling for a reduction of 50% of African American abortions in the country. That these children should get here. And I think we really need to step up.
We absolutely do. More crisis pregnancy centers, more focus on adoption, which needs to really be overhauled. But I do think we're getting a clear contrast between the two ideologies that are dominating this country. Ambassador, always great to see you. Thanks so much for stopping by and joining us on Washington Watch today.
And thank you for FRC sponsoring this summit. It's really important. We really appreciate it.
Always glad to partner with you.